Hello, Artem. And first questions, I guess you have been very busy lately, but how are you going?
Doing very well, thank you. It's been a fantastic year for the LEC. I think this event is going to be very special. The games right now are super hyped. I really like the stakes of the Friday game with the KC versus Fnatic. So overall, the spirits are very high.
And today I want to speak about one specific subject, which is the LEC formats, and I want to go deep in this area. And I want to base the discussion about the message that you post on Twitter when you express some statement publicly. And I think it was kind of out of the ordinary, but it was a good thing. But why did you take this chance to do that?
Well, I put myself in the shoes of an LEC fan, and I thought, as a fan myself, what would I like to see, from the LEC Commissioner? And I thought, transparent communication around what's happening behind the scenes for the LEC would be very helpful, and that's something what I would appreciate. So I did this to AMAs recently, which I think were very well received, and I'm planning to do more of this in the future.
I think that transparency is always good, but I was a little bit surprised by the timing because the year is not over, the split has not been finished yet. So was it important to you to speak that quickly about it?
I saw that this topic is very important for the fans, so I thought it's better to address it right away. And I think as well, a chunk of the negative comments around the format was around the group stage specifically. So once we're leading towards the end of the group stage, I thought it would be a good moment to address it and also tell the fans right away that we listened, we heard the feedback, and we don't want to bring this format back next year.
I won't be mistaken by saying that format has always been a big thing for the communities. And I guess that if you apply this summer split format in the first place, is because you had some ideas about it that you wanted to do to create something special. So even if it didn't work as well as you wanted, what was the plan behind it?
When we planned the split, there were two priorities that were very important for us. One, we wanted to have no best of ones, right? So we were planning everything a year in advance, so we knew Fearless will be coming. So it was very important for us that the split only has best of threes and best of fives. We are also have limited amount of time to run the split between the various competitions, and that was another constraint that we had to work with. So we tried to find the best possible format that kind of takes these two things. And we always say that everything is a trade-off. So we knew that things will not be perfect, but we thought that this format will work out. Now that we tried it out, and we had this format in the past, I think maybe like 8-9 years ago, so at the very beginning of EU LCS. Now that we tried it, we see it doesn't work, so we'll work on something more exciting for next year. And I think what was helpful from this summer split format learning is we heard a lot of feedback from the fans. I think it's clear for us what they want, and we're going to adjust our plans accordingly.
So you made it clear that this summer split format won't come back next year, but is there still something that you want to say, that you want to keep because you make it work?
Yeah, I think best of threes and best of fives. We are again, we'll try to prioritize these. So that is something we want to continue doing. And I think us this year removing the season finals concept and having three distinct competitions, so winter split, spring, and summer. That was another great addition. I think it's really nice that this year we have a very clear stakes for each of the three LEC splits with consequences for the international events appearance. The year is not over yet. I think Fearless is performing very well. So at the end of the year, we will evaluate again, and this is something we are deciding not only within the LEC, but within, we talk to other regional leagues as well, and we will see how we want to proceed with Fearless. I'm glad that it pushed us to work more with best of threes and best of fives. I think there are other benefits to best of threes and best of fives, not only unlocking Fearless. Another great example is because we had a single round robin best of three group stage in spring split, we could run the two road trips that we did in Evry and Madrid because we had a more predictable schedule for teams. That was another great addition. Also, teams have a chance to prepare better for the international events while playing in this format.
Artem, I'm not that young, and I was used in the past to see a lot of BO1, but it seems that now BO1 are kind of disappearing, and it is not in the sense of history to keep them. So, do you have any plan to kill all of them, or do you think there is still some room to bring some BO1 at some point?
I think best of ones as well have their upsides. I would still keep it on the table, and I gotta say one of the interesting surprises I get from doing the AMA on X around the format. I was surprised how many fans are actually brought up best of one as a good example, and they were talking about the benefits of this format. So I think it has its place, and so I wouldn't put this completely off the table. And there are interesting formats and there are interesting goals you could achieve, in designing your products, like with best of ones. But generally, I would say we would want to have more best of threes and best of fives for the LEC.
And in your previous message, you spoke mainly about changing the summer split formats, but you didn't mention that much spring and winter. Does it mean that they will stay as they are?
Yeah, I think the spring split format was great. I heard great feedback from the players, from the fans. So all around the board, I think it was great that we added it. I think winter is a format that also works well. I think after people saw Fearless and got all the excitement, there was more tendency to go away from best of ones. But I think early in the year, when you have new team rosters, right? When you have new players, we had Kalist, who just got announced as Rookie of the Year joining. You want to see, these rosters playing often against each other, and when you have a week when you see every team 3 times, I think it's pretty exciting, specifically for early in the year. So I think winter was great. We also had really great peak viewership for the final between G2 and KC, and I think it was a really memorable victory that KC achieved so early in the year.
And I could see why you had 3 different splits with 3 different formats, because each one had their own flavor. But was this decision conscious, or was it pushed because of, the schedule, because of the global calendar of Riot Games?
I think it's mostly the latter. In an ideal world, I would love to have 3 same consistent formats, but we are working with some scheduling constraints, right? So this year we picked Spring Split specifically to have more best of threes and to unlock road trips. That was a very important motivation. I think for the winter split and with the limited time window we've had, I think the format we had last year just worked really well for the benefits that I just outlined. And I think for the summer we already spoke in length. In general, I see that there is interest from community to have more consistency. I think that was another great learning from the AMA on X. We would love to have it too, so that's something we are considering to have next year.
I think it would be a good point, because to be totally honest, during the year it was sometimes hard to notice when a game was important or when a game was not that important. So did you think about maybe the new viewers who might have troubles to read the format and to understand everything?
We always, when we think of a new format, this is a very important consideration for us to how understandable and how clear it will be. Truth to be told, you bring up example of new LEC fans who may be confused, but I speak to fans who've been following the LEC for a decade and who are super knowledgeable in the esports world and with the LEC, and they have sometimes troubles to understand the exact stakes. So it's a balance. Everything is a trade-off, and also I want to give a shout out to our broadcast team and to our talent team. I think they did a really great job this year on the analyst desk explaining all the stakes, and it's something that we will always continue to do regardless of the format.
And everyone is always comparing what is happening abroad in other leagues, and they are trying to see, can we copy some stuff, and mainly about LCK because it's the model of everything. But do you think it would be possible to go in that way, even if, of course, they have playing 5 days a week, But maybe if we introduce back some online game, this kind of format could happen.
When we compare like LEC to other regions, it is difficult to compare, apples to apples, because if we talk about the LCK, it's a very different region, right? It's a single market. It's a very developed esports ecosystem. Seoul is the capital of and the birthplace of esports. So it's hard to draw a direct comparison. We definitely take learnings. We see that fans want to see more LEC games next year, and that is something that we plan to do. There've been also discussion about doing online games, right? And I was open that this is one of the avenues we consider for the future. I think it's important for us that if we introduce online games, we don't just set people, like players, play at home and do the basic online setup. We want to use this opportunity of us not using the studio to maybe create some interesting content pieces, maybe really leverage the opportunity of players not being in the same space to create something fun, something that you cannot have when you're constrained by the studio. So we have conversations right now on how to achieve this. So I would say stay tuned, and we are always open to the experimentation. And I really appreciate that fans are being very open and candid with us, with their feedback. So we are closely listening.
And on a more technical level, if we speak about budget, does it cost less to broadcast some online games compared to on-stage game?
I think it really depends on where do you have the casters in the analyst desk, because if you have players playing from their homes, but you still boot up the studio to have the analyst desk there, the caster desk there, you will still have costs that come with the studio, which would be different if both the players and the talent would be outside of the studio. I think the studio environment brings a lot of benefits for us. Keep in mind as well that I think when people talk about studio versus online, they don't put into the account that while we have a broadcast day happening in the Riot Games Arena in Berlin, we're actually on the same day, we're filming a lot of content that you will later see on our social media, on YouTube. So that is also a very important infrastructure for us to use. So basically, when we are opening up the studio, then we are making it to the full maximum to make sure we have great games, fans have access, if they want to come on in Berlin, watch in person, and we also film as much content as possible for our fans so they can see the behind-the-scenes look of the LEC.
And if I push the reasoning, people might think, okay, if we have more online games, we can cut some cost, and then we can have more money to organize, more LAN events like this one in Madrid. So does it work like that, or is totally completely different?
I think broad strokes, if we are playing online games, we are saving some budget. And road trips this year is a perfect example. You've been, I think probably 1 year ago in Munich, you've been asking me, similar questions around the live events, and we've been working really hard to increase the amount of live arena events this year. And now with this summer final we have in Madrid, it's going to be 3 this year. So we are definitely, see the value in this massive live events that rally the local community together to celebrate, their region, their pro players, and we want to do more of this in the future. I think there is a potential to do more, but there is also, a lot of dependencies that you need to keep in mind, because you need to have the fitting format, you need to have the fitting schedule. Budget is also a consideration, because supporting any live event outside of studio, either it is a summer split final or the road trips we've done, it does require resources from rioters. So we would like to do more of this, and we are currently considering whether it's something we can do for next year. So I would say stay tuned for more news once we wrapped up the season.
And if I can go just a little bit deeper in that, we have this kind of LAN event sometime in France with the French League, and it costs roughly at like 200K, which is quite a huge amount. But it's also a way to reach more sponsors and to, I don't know, have some ticketing as well. So when we think about those LEC road trip, LEC events, do they bring more or do they cost more?
I will not go into the nitty-gritty details on this one. I would just say that running those road trips, even though they are slightly on a different scale compared to the event we have here, they still require like a lot of resources. So budget is definitely a consideration there. Another thing though is even we do have a budget, you require time from writers who work on the event, from the teams who organize this event. So you not only need to think about the money, but also, if we do more of these events, this is time that we do not spend on something else that fans may want to see from the LSE. But I would just say that we really appreciate to hear the feedback from the fans, to hear what they want, what they think, what works and what doesn't work for the LSE, and ultimately we take this information, we read and we listen very, very carefully, and then we find the perfect recipe for how the season can look like. I'm very excited about what we are planning for next year. So I would say, stay tuned. I think fans are going to love it.
All of this information was quite interesting, and I know that you are quite busy, so thank you again and have a good day.
Thank you, Leo. Really, really appreciate it.